Just had a producer from MSNBC reach out to me and ask for my thoughts on Trump's tariffs, right? The new tariffs that are apparently coming in the next few weeks. This was a producer for Alex Wagner's podcast. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I told her. So Trump has now said that there will be an additional 10% tariffs on China. There's already a universal 10% tariff on all imported goods from China. There's going to be an additional 10% on top of that going in next week. That is not helping things be built here in the United States. A little background, I own a company called Tabor Place. We make glass sippy cups for kids. And yes, I produce my products in China, but it is not because I want to produce my cups in China. It is because there's no one here in the United States that will make my cups. And in order to make a factory here in the United States, I would have to build it myself from scratch. And so one of the things that I told her is use this analogy of baking a cake. So let's say you're getting married and you want to bake a cake, right? Have a wedding cake for your wedding, okay? China would be the equivalent of like going to a baker, a professional baker. You're gonna make an appointment, you're gonna go into the store, the bakery, or you can just you're gonna walk into the bakery, they're gonna have a whole binder full of tons of different styles of cakes, right? 1-tier, 2-tier, 3-tier cakes, lots of different like designs they can put on the cake, they can customize it. There's gonna be lots of different flavors of the cake. You can test and sample all of those different flavors. So then you would order it and then they would even deliver it to the venue, right? That is like making a product in China. They have spent the last 40 years building that infrastructure. On the converse, building something, anything in the United States is like baking something from scratch, okay? But like, you don't know how to make it, right? So making something in the United States, so using that same analogy, baking a cake here in the United States, I would need to buy all of the equipment, research what equipment I needed, and then I would need to source every single ingredient. Many of the ingredients I would have to make myself. I would need to research lots of different recipes to bake that cake. I then would need to learn the expertise and the techniques on how to bake that cake. Maybe I would even have to go to culinary school to bake that cake, to learn how to bake that cake, right? And then once I had all of the equipment, the space, I would have to get all the licenses to bake that cake. Then I would have to hire people. I would have to teach them. So baking that cake would take like 5 years. So if I were going to have the cake for my own wedding, I would have need to have started 5 years ago, and I would need a crap ton of money to invest in just making one cake. And that cake might not even taste that good, right? That is an example of what it's like to make product here in the United States. So, and that's the analogy that I used with her, because that is what my experience has been as a small business owner. Again, I want to make my borosilicate glass sippy cups here in the United States. I have been searching for a manufacturer here in the United States for years. I would need to make every single component of my cup separately. I would need to now have my own factory because there is no borosilicate manufacturer here in the United States that can manufacture sippy cups to my specifications. We barely have borosilicate glass manufacturers here in the United States to begin with, because while China has spent the last 40 years building their infrastructure to make it easy, the United States has just been dismantling their infrastructure for the past 40 years and shipping it to other countries. There's lots of things that could be done to help begin building that infrastructure here in the United States. But many of the grants and subsidies that had been put into place or had at least begun in certain industries to bring manufacturing back here to the United States, those have been taken away. Those have been cut because it's government waste. And I'm not taking out $10 million in loans, especially in the inflationary high interest period that we are in right now. I can tell you things are about to get a lot worse.